Welcome back to Face the Nation. We now go to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. She's a Democrat from New York and the newest contender in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary. She joins us this morning from Des Moines. Senator, welcome to Face the Nation.
Thank you, Margaret.
You have said that you are a no on the president's proposal here to end the shutdown. Why isn't the offer of 3 years of protection for DACA and TPS recipients enough of a start for you?
Well, he's the one who got rid of DACA protection in the first place. And to offer a temporary respite, it doesn't. If you talk to any DACA recipient in America today, they're anxious, they're worried, they're concerned. They might be at school, they don't know if they can finish school. They might be getting married. Their lives are being upended, and this president has no compassion. So I don't think you should even consider this because it's 3 years. It's just DACA. Why not all the dreamers? Why not a permanent pathway to citizenship so they actually can have certainty about their lives? What it really shows is his lack of compassion and empathy for people that are suffering. And I think it's a non-starter.
The president said this morning in a tweet that amnesty could be part of a broader deal down the line. Do you take him at his word on that?
No, I don't. I don't take him on his word on anything. If he really cares about he would open up the government, stop the 800,000 people that didn't get a paycheck last week, stop their suffering. Some people can't pay for medicines, food, heat, mortgages, rents. It just shows a callousness that is unacceptable. And so open the government, pay the people, pay our public servants, and then get to the business of talking about a comprehensive immigration reform. But to offer him a 3-year DACA deal is just not, it doesn't accomplish what we need to accomplish. It's not enough. And I think it's cynical.
Well, Democrats would have to agree to anything the president really puts forward in order to end this shutdown. But when I look at some of your past comments, you've said the president is ripping apart the moral fabric of our country. You have a consistent voting record of voting against many of his nominees. Do you think there's the possibility for any kind of proposal you could sign on to in the middle of this election campaign?
Well, what I wish he would do is just open up the government under the agreement that we will make a deal with him and have time to actually mete it out. We do want, as a starting measure, to protect all dreamers. And so I can imagine that Democrats can talk to him about making sure that we protect all dreamers. Democrats aren't afraid to protect this country. We will invest in border security. We will invest in anti-terrorism.
And that means money for a border barrier?
I don't think that's the most effective way to do it. I think there is common ground here. If you focus on his goal, if he wants to keep terrorists out of this country, if he wants to make sure there's no human trafficking and no drug trafficking and no gun trafficking, those are areas that we can work on. We will give him money for border security. If he just wants to throw it down the drain in an ineffective barrier, it's just unwise. And so come to the table, talk to us about the shared values of keeping America safe, but care about the dreamers, care about the kids who have been here a long time and who are adding to our communities. Immigration is our strength. Our diversity is a strength. We have always been a nation of immigrants. And for this president to sow so much fear about refugees, people who are seeking asylum, is just contrary to, back to what you said, the moral fabric of this country. We've always cared about others, and that's what the Statue of Liberty stands for.
An RNC spokesperson issued a statement after you declared your candidacy saying if you looked up political opportunism in the dictionary, Kirsten Gillibrand's photo would be next to it. From jumping on the abolish ICE bandwagon to turning on the Clintons, she always goes where the political wind blows. How do you respond to that?
Well, those are political attacks, so not rooted in any truth. But, I am who I am, and I will fight for other people's kids as hard as I fight for my own. My heart has never changed, and I will fight for people.
But some of your agenda has, which is what they're attacking there.
10 years ago, when I became senator of New York State, a state of 20 million people, I recognized that my focus on The concerns of my upstate district were not enough. I needed to focus on the concerns of the whole state. And so on immigration, I spent time in immigrant communities. Nydia Velasquez took me to her district in Brooklyn, and I met with families whose lives were being torn apart because of policies that I did not have enough compassion and empathy for. So I recognized I was wrong. And that's why 10 years ago, I have been fighting for all the families of New York, for every kid in our state who needed my voice to elevate their pain, suffering, and concerns. And so that's what I do. That is why I'm in public service, to help people. And so I would like to be judged on my record and on my heart.
You sit on the Armed Services Committee. If you are Commander-in-Chief, would you continue the diplomatic talks with North Korea that the President has started?
So I think it is helpful that President Trump is focused on diplomacy and not bombing North Korea, because one of his earlier thought processes were that he needed to have military action, which caused grave concern in my mind and those of many other senators. So I do think diplomacy and engagement is the right approach. Unfortunately, President Trump, in his first efforts, I think it was much more of a political stunt than effective diplomacy and political dialogue.
So you don't support this second summit?
No, I am grateful because he is choosing a path of diplomacy, even if he's not good at it, or even if it's not more than a political stunt. I'm still grateful that that is his choice, as opposed to bombing North Korea. So he is taking the right approach. I wish he would do it in a different way, with the support of allies, with the support of the world community, with the support of experts, as opposed to fly by the, shoot from the hip. And it's just not, I don't think the way he's tried to do it is the most effective, but I am grateful he's trying.
You have spoken about your agenda, which would include expanding Medicare for all. You had been a co-sponsor on a bill with Bernie Sanders previously that would essentially nationalize health care. That would require an estimated $1.4 trillion a year. How do you finance that?
So I believe that healthcare should be a right and not a privilege, because as I've traveled across this country in the last few election cycles, campaigning for candidates to flip the House of Representatives and take back some Senate seats, I listen to people. And the biggest worry almost every family in America has is the cost of healthcare, and that it will be out of reach for them because the insurance industry doesn't care. So the reason why I believe in Medicare for all is I think any family should have access to at least one not-for-profit public option, so they can compete with the for-profit insurance industry that just has to make their quarterly profits and pay their shareholders value and make sure their CEOs make millions of dollars. That is not aligned with the goal of universal coverage that's good and affordable.
How do you pay for it?
Let me explain. If you buy into Medicare in the same way you buy into your Social Security as an earned benefit, it is far less expensive for every American than the amount of money they are paying now to the insurance industry. So it will be paid for by each person who wants to invest in their health care at a far lower rate they're paying today. And so the bill that Senator Sanders and I and many others introduced, I wrote the part about buying into Medicare because that's what I ran on in 2006 as an upstate New York House candidate in a 2-to-1 Republican district. It made sense to my voters then. It makes sense to voters across America now. Let them buy in. Let them just invest 4% of income, which is what our bill says, to get access in the same way they invest 6% of their income into Social Security. It's the same earned benefit. If you make it a right in this way, if you create it as a social safety net, people will get higher quality care that is less expensive, and they will always be covered. No insurance company can deny them because of pre-existing conditions.
Senator, we'll be watching your campaign. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Thank you.